Okay, so today we will be working on figuring out Google Sheets. So on a new tab, go to your waffle over here by your picture. That's your Google Apps button. And you're going to click on Sheets. It's this green square. Once we're in Google Sheets, you can see you have a lot of different options. Just like in Google Docs, your old things are going to show up down here, and some pre-built things are going to show up right here. We're going to go into a blank document, so click on blank. And then I'm going to walk you through a few different things. So first off, this is what a sheet looks like, or if you're using a computer, this is what Excel would look like. So first off, right up here, we have File, Edit, View, Insert. Those are different functions, just like in Google Docs. And then you see we have some extra functions right here. We have columns, and those are alphabetically named. So columns go up and down, rows are left to right. So A1, cell A1. So each one of these blocks is called a cell. Cell A1 is this one right here. If I wanted to select on cell E5, I would go to E and go down to 5. Okay, and I would click on that. That's what tells you that you have it selected. Now, to verify that you have that cell selected, you can look right here and see that you have that cell selected. So we're just going to do a couple very basic things to kind of get you guys used to using Google Sheets before we move on. So to start with, we're going to make a table. So we are going to put the days of the week across, and we'll make it like a little calendar. So Monday, Tuesday, and you can just click on those and type in. Or if you don't want to use your mouse to click over, you can push the tab button to go to the next cell. Now, one really cool thing about Excel and Google Sheets is that it reads patterns and will guess the next pattern and autofill for you. So to select multiple cells, so I'm going to click on cell B1 where I typed Monday. I'm going to click and drag. Now I have those 2 cells selected. Now, if you look right here, this is B1 colon C1. How you read that is B1 through C1. You can see I have B1 through C1 selected. Now it's going to look different if I have B1, C1 all the way down to 10. So really I have B1 through B10, C1 through C10. And how that reads when it's on a piece of paper or it's typed out as B1 colon C10. So B1 through C10. So here all the way to there. But to get it to auto do a pattern, you're going to select both of those, and it's going to read that those are days of the week. And this little blue button right here, if you put your cursor over it, it becomes a crosshairs, and you can click and drag it over. So it's going to make that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right? You see how it did that? Now what we can also do is numbers the same way. So we can do 1, 2, 3, and now it's reading that this is increasing by 1 each time. So I'm going to select A2 through A4. I'm going to click and drag down. We'll go to here. Okay. And you'll see that it's gone all the way through 19. But the really cool thing is that you can make it count by 2s. You can make it count by 10s. Or any other number of things. So by 2s, we're going to select it so it can read the pattern. So it's reading the pattern from this cell to this cell. You're going to click on that blue button, and we're going to drag it down. And we can do the same thing with the Tuesday, with the 10s. Okay. So Sheets is really smart. It can read your different patterns, but it can also perform different equations for you. So this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated, and you need to make sure you pay attention and pause if needed. So in Wednesdays, under Wednesday, so in cell D2, I'm going to type a formula. So this will actually do math for you. So we're going to type an equal sign. So what it's saying is I want this cell, so cell D2, to equal, let's say, 2 plus 2 is 4. We all know that. But if I click back on that cell and I go up here to my formula bar, which is right here, it says FX, you can see that it says D2 equals, I'll read it this way, D2 equals 2.2. And 2 plus 2 is 4. We know that. But what we can also do is take the inputs that you have in these blocks and manipulate those. So before we go into that, I want you just to click on cell C3 and verify Then your formula bar, it says 20. All right. Once you have that verified, we're going to go over here to cell D3 and we're going to type equals. So this is saying I want D3 to equal 20 plus 4 minus 2. Okay, so I want D3 to equal C3 plus B3 minus A3. All right, so it might take us a second to do that if we were doing it in our head, but it's going to automatically do it. Now, what you'll also notice is after I just did that, it's going to read that I put a formula in cell D3 and I manipulated the cells to the left of it. And it's asking me if I want it to autofill those formulas. So do I want it to, all of these formulas to be the input that's in the column C plus the column B minus the column A? And if so, I'm going to press that check mark. All right. So far, everybody should look about what I have on here. On cell D20, you should have 209. All right. Next, we can, doesn't just plus and minus, we can divide. We can divide cell C2 by D2. So this cell should equal E2 equals C2 divided by D2. Enter. Right? Now, if it didn't do the autofill for you, but you know you want it to do the same thing all the way down, what we can do is we can click on that. We have it selected. We click our little button on the bottom right-hand corner, and you can drag it down. And so it's going to copy that formula down. Now, you will see that formula looks a little bit different. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to do is show you some basic formatting things. So we're not going to do any numbers in these columns right here. So I want you to select cell B1 through H1. So just our days of the week. So we'll click and drag. B1 through H1 are selected. Up here in your bar, it's very similar to that one that we have in Google Docs. We're going to bold it, and I want boxes to be around it. So I'm going to go right here to borders. I'm going to click on borders, and then I have some different options right here. I'm going to click this first option that says all borders. So those are applied, and I'm going to do the same bolding in all borders to A2 through A20. Okay, so bold, all borders. And then, well, that doesn't look exactly the way I want it to. I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to reselect those. So we can actually select all of these and these separately at the same time. So I'm going to select those. I'm going to push Control on my keyboard. I'm going to hold Control down while I select B1 through H1. And now I have those selected, and I want to fill those with a color. You're going to click on your paint bucket, and you're going to go over here, and I'm going to fill with, let's go this first green under there. So it's light green 3. All right. So now we have learned how to input text into a cell. We've learned how to use autofill. We've learned how to make a formula. We've learned where our function bar is. Now we're going to learn how to resize these cells. So column A is really wide. You see, there's all this empty space right over here. So I'm just going to put my cursor between column A and column B, and I can click and drag over. All right, so that's just going to resize this column A. Next, what we can do is let's say if we want to resize just column B, you can select it, or you want to format just column B, you can select it, and you can go over here to your alignment, and we can center align. And let's say I want to do that for the rest of these cells. What I'm doing is I'm clicking on the letter and dragging over. Just like that. Okay, so now all those are centered. And that is kind of a basic little how-to for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to follow those steps one more time. You're going to name your sheet your last name. So my last name is Dickerson. And you're going to put sheets day 1. And that's how you're going to turn that assignment in.